Doug Goldstein here with the Goldstein on Gelt Show. Even if your name is not Stu, you might want to know how to be a good steward of your family wealth. What does it mean to be a steward of your family wealth? And what does it mean, especially when we're talking about multi-generational families who are dealing with large net worths? And oftentimes the parents or the grandparents created some sort of fantastic nest egg, which is being passed on from generation to generation. And although the money gets passed down, one of the things that I've found as a financial advisor is that a lot of times the legacy, the moral legacy, and the financial responsibility doesn't get passed down. So let's talk for a little bit about what, as a parent or a grandparent, you need to do in order to make sure that your heirs are going to properly take care of the money. So an example, and sadly, it's an example that I've seen on more than one occasion, is sometimes I've seen the grandparents maybe bought some apartments or a building, and then this grew. The investment did very well. New York, Chicago, Florida, California. And sometimes these portfolios are not just worth millions, but they're worth tens of millions of dollars. And they live a very good life and they raise their kids, and their grandchildren benefit also. And at some point, the grandchildren are getting this money or getting control of the asset, and they don't know how to handle it. So sadly, many of these cases, the parents or grandparents witness this. So they put the money in a trust, and this could be tens of millions of dollars worth of stocks and bonds or real estate that's in a trust. And the kids will never really have access or control. It all gets handled by professional trustees who, quite frankly, don't always have the same interest that the family has in mind. Now, when you buy the building, you may have a certain interest or a certain goal for your family. But by the time the control of this goes down a few generations and is now being handled by professional trustees, they're really, in the Hebrew, we say kisui tachat. In English, we often say CYA. They're covering their bottoms to make sure that their asset stays intact and that they will continue to have a job managing this tomorrow and next year and the next generation of bankers. So it's not that they have bad intent, it's just that they may have a different goal from what you have. And no matter how well you try to write the trust document to cover all contingencies, it's nearly impossible. The example that I often like to give people when dealing with trust documents is to think about probably the greatest trust document that was ever written by the world's greatest writer, and that is the Bible. The Bible, written by God, was really a trust document for the Jewish people about how they should live their lives and what they should do with the wealth, and by wealth, I mean the wisdom that came along with it, and the land of Israel. And sadly, the Jewish people didn't really follow so well what they were supposed to do, and as a result, they were divided and they were scattered around the world. And that was a pretty good trust document. It had all the rules and regulations in it, and the people just couldn't follow it. Now imagine you sitting with your $500 an hour lawyer trying to write a great trust document that's supposed to last for 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 years. Are you really going to be more successful than the good Lord at writing a trust document? I'm not really so sure. So the thing you have to focus on is teaching your heirs and giving them responsibility as soon as you can so that they learn how to actually handle the portfolio. That's what it means to be a good steward of your wealth. It's not just you managing it well, it's you're teaching the lessons to the next generation. Now, how do you do that? How do you teach the next generation to manage their wealth? Well, I think one of the most important things is to be as open as possible. I recently gave a lecture, a seminar, where I talked about inheritances, and someone asked me a question. He said, Doug, how much do I tell my children about my finances? And what I said is, you should share as much as you can with your grown-up children. I don't mean little children. You should share as much as you can and get them involved as early as possible in understanding the decisions. Every family is going to be a little different, and children are different. But my experience is that parents who start when their children are at a young age, giving them financial responsibility, giving them jobs around the house, letting them manage a little bit of money themselves, letting them earn money and save money and give charity, those are the kids who grow up to be the most responsible. So the key takeaway from this is that you have to start teaching your kids young. If you didn't do it, or even if you did, the next step is, as they get older, bring them to meetings with the financial advisor. I can't begin to tell you how many times I work with successful families who are building a successful financial legacy. And one thing that I would say is in common with all of them is that the parents or the grandparents, who's ever in charge, brings the children and grandchildren to the meetings. And we begin to have discussions, not just about how to invest, but why they're investing. What is it that's so important about the money to you? Is it that you want to just buy buy every kid a mansion so he never has to work. Frankly, I've never seen that happen. I've never seen someone who is coming from wealth say, I want my children to retire at age 20 so they never have to work. Quite the opposite. It's usually they're trying to find a way to give their children enough money to do what they want to do, but not to give them enough money to do nothing. And that's really the trick. And usually that means they're helping them with education. They're helping them with advice to get started in business, but not getting them started in business by just saying, oh, I'll invest $1 million in your new startup idea, which has no clients and no real good idea. It really means getting involved early on with the education. If you're dealing with a portfolio, whether it's in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, that's the space that I'm in, or with setting up a trust. So I'm not an attorney who actually writes the trust, but I am a trust and estate practitioner. So I deal on the investment side of trusts. Or whether you're dealing with real estate portfolios and the distributions from that, you'll probably need specialized lawyers and specialized financial advisors who can help you to set up the whole system. So if you have questions about this, in my day job at Profile Investments, where we help people in Israel handle their US investment portfolios, we are currently taking on clients. So you can email me directly. My email address is doug@profile-financial.com. I'd love to hear what situation you're dealing with. And if we're able to help, we'd be more than happy to start the conversation. Thanks again for listening to the Goldstein on Geld Show. Make sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're listening to the podcast. Give us a like, and please be sure to tell your friends and join me next time here on the Goldstein on Geld Show. I'm Doug Goldstein. Thanks again.